Hey guys, so in this video I wanted to go over Unit 5 Lesson 3. So in Unit 5 Lesson 3 we are talking about our triangles, and we are going to add all of our angles up, and that is going to give us 180 degrees. So that is what that triangle angle sum theorem means. Before we begin, I want to make sure we know certain symbols that are going to be used within this lesson. One symbol is going to look like this. This is meaning angle. Now, if you throw an M in front of that symbol, it means measure of angle. So underneath this theorem, it says measure of angle A plus measure of angle A plus measure of angle A equals 180 degrees. So do note, if you had this printed out, make sure you change this to measure angle B, measure angle C. So the figure that we are looking at is the first one on the right side. So if we add angle A plus angle B plus angle C, we would get 180 degrees. So our example is at this ATM triangle, and the T is right there. So we're going to add angle A, angle M, and angle T all together. Well, angle T does not have an angle already. So we can either reference this by saying measure of angle T, just angle T, or we can assign a random variable to it. We can do T, we can do X, whatever you would like. Let's do X. So I'm going to use the variable X. So I'm going to add all of them together, 27 degrees plus 82 degrees plus variable X representing an angle T, and it's all going to equal 180 degrees. Now I'm going to combine like terms. Well, my like terms are 27 degrees and 82 degrees. Adding them together, I get 109 plus my variable, which is X, equals 180. Well, then I'm solving for X, so X has to be by itself, and it's not. So I'm going to subtract 109 because it's positive. And I get X equals 7. 71, my bad. There it is. So that would be my angle, or my measure angle T. So 71 degrees. Now pause the video and try the second example. See if you can find angle 1. What is the measure of angle 1? You should have gotten 108. Now, for this second example, it also asks us to find angle 2. Well, angle 1 plus angle 2 gives us a straight line. So angle 1 plus angle 2 is going to give us 180 degrees. So if we already know angle 1 is 108, we can also solve for angle 2. So we're going to subtract 108 to get angle 2 by itself. So angle 2 is going to equal 72. So that is what you can put on the line if you have it printed off. Then we go into classifying triangles. So for the first one, we are told that we have 3 acute angles. Well, 3 acute angles, meaning acute means less than 90 degrees. 90 degrees would be shown like this, where it's a perfect perpendicular line to the one at the bottom. So all of these are less than 90 degrees. So this triangle is going to be labeled as an acute triangle. For the next one, we are told that we have one right angle. So this is going to be classified as a right triangle. The next one, we are told that it's obtuse, one obtuse angle. That means that the angle is going to be greater than 90 degrees. So these triangles are going to be called obtuse triangles. And then lastly, if all of the angles are congruent to each other, not just that all three of them are acute angles, because that is correct in this case, but specifically that all three angles are congruent, we're dealing with an equilateral triangle. So this first section that we just did was classifying triangles by their angles. This next part is going to be classifying them by their sides. So for the first triangle that we're classifying by their sides, no sides are congruent. So this is going to be classified as a scalene triangle. Next one, at least two sides are congruent. Two sides are congruent. They are shown by these little tick marks. This is going to be classified as an isosceles triangle. And then lastly, if we have all sides congruent, we are working with an equilateral triangle again. So if you have this printed off, take time to attempt the next page, which you have 8 different triangles that you need to classify using sides and angles. So you're going to have 2 different answers for each of these 8 triangles. Again, pause the video and try them. So for number 1, if you have any extra questions, again, please do not hesitate to email me or remind message or message me on Google Classroom. So number 1 should be a right and a scalene triangle. Number 2 should be an acute and isosceles triangle. Number 3 should be a right and an isosceles. And number 4 should be, you can write equilateral twice, but because the sides and the angles are congruent, it is an equilateral triangle for both sides, according to sides and according to angles. Number 5, acute and isosceles. Number 6, obtuse and scalene. Number 7, right and scalene. And number 8, acute and scalene. So there are your classifying triangles practice. So now we're going to use all of this information to find or solve for x. So 1 through 8, we are doing that. So let's look at number 1. Number 1. We have a triangle. All 3 angles are going to add up to give us 180. So we're going to do that. We're going to take our 67 degrees, add it to our 3x plus 3, and also add our 77 degrees for our third angle. We're going to set it equal to 180. So we're going to combine like terms. Even though 3 does not have a degree sign, it is a like term to 77 degrees and 67 degrees because it's just a number. There's no variable attached to it. So we're going to add those together and we get 147. And then we have that lonely 3x because there was no like terms with the 3x. Still have it equal to 180. Then we're going to minus 147 from both sides because it's positive. 3x equals 33. Then we're going to divide by 3 on both sides. And next is 11. So that is our answer for number 1. Now, number 2, test your knowledge for the fact of these 2 lines are congruent. So if these 2 lines are congruent, whatever the angle they create in between the 2 lines is going to be something. But the other 2 angles are going to be congruent. So if this angle down here is 76, that means the other angle has to be 76. Now let's test that knowledge a little bit further. Let's go to number 5. Again, these 2 tick marks tell you that these lines are congruent. That means that the angle they create is going to be something. But the other 2 angles are going to be the same. So if one is 75, the other one has to be 75. So we know 2 of the 3 angles, so we can add up all 3 angles and set it equal to 180. And then solve for x. So we have 75 plus 75 to give us 150. And then we're going to move that 150 away from the x, so the x is by itself. So that x equals 30. So this lonely little angle up there is 30 degrees. And that would give you your answer for number 5. And then one last example from this sheet. Let's do number 8. Number 8, we're given this figured here. Again, if I'm going too fast, please pause the video so you can copy down this figure. So we've got one angle here that we are given 130 degrees. And we have another angle that if we add the two together, we get a straight line. Well, a straight line is 180 degrees. So to find this leftover, and actually let me create a different variable. If we put, let's say, W here. If we want to find angle W, we would add W and 130 degrees, and both would have to equal 180. Then we're going to get W by itself, so subtract 130 from both sides, and W gives us 50. So this inside angle is 50 degrees. Now, only worried about the inside angles of the triangle. We now have all three angles, so we're going to add them together and set them equal to 180. So I have 8x plus 3 plus 7x minus 8 plus 50 equals 180. And combine like terms and solve. So I have 3, negative 8, and 50. So I have 45. Then I have 8x, 7x. So I have positive 15x equals 180. Subtract 45 from both sides. Get 15x equals 135. Divide by 15. X equals 9. So that is my answer for number 8. Lastly, in this lesson, we tackled during class this crazy figure for number 19. Try not to get overwhelmed. My suggestion to most of you when we did this in class was to use a paper to cover up all but the first triangle. So if you have this, use a piece of paper to cover up what I'm covering up with my pencil. And only worry about that first triangle. Well, that first triangle, we are told 2 angles, and we kind of need to know that third angle. So we're going to use what we've done before, or done in this lesson. We're going to add all of them together. So let's use a random variable. Let's say x. 65 plus 46 plus x equals 180. We're going to combine everything and get x by itself, and we're going to get x equals 69. So now we know this angle is 69. Well, if this angle is 69, then we can figure out this next little part. So we're only worried about that angle 1. So if this angle that we just found plus angle 1 creates a straight line, that means we can add them together and set it equal to 180. Or we can just do 180, subtract the one angle we do know, 69. And we get 111. So that means this angle 1 is 111. Well, ignoring everything else, taking it one step at a time, not worried about this angle 5 and 4 and the other triangle that's over there on the right side. Angle 1 plus angle 2 also creates a straight line. So we already know one of the angles, so we can do 180 minus the angle we know to get angle 2, which is 69. So this angle is also 69, kind of like the first angle. And then we keep going. So then all I'm worried about is this triangle over here. I want to finish off solving this triangle on the right. So this angle 142 plus our last angle creates a straight line, so it's 180 degrees. I'm going to do 180 minus our 142 that we already have. We're going to get 38. Now once we have that, now we have 2 of the 3 angles inside of the triangle that we're moving to. So either you can do 82 plus 38 plus you can do a random variable over here, let's say y equals 180, or you could do 180 because all of them have to equal 180 and subtract the 2 angles you know. This would also give you that angle y, which is 60 degrees. So then we keep going. Well, if you remember what we talked about in lesson 1, you can realize that these 2 angles are going to be vertical angles. If you cannot see that, you have to go through the process of identifying that angle 3 and this angle beside it creates a straight line. So you're going to have 180 subtract 60, which is 120, which goes here. And then this 120 degrees plus angle 4 is also a straight line. So you're going to have to do 180 minus 120 to give you 60. Now, if you can just realize that these are vertical angles, that's fine. If you cannot see that it's vertical angles, you will have to go through the process of realizing that they are supplementary to each other and they create a straight line, and subtract the angle you have from 180. So lastly, we have angle 5. Well, you have 2 of the 3 angles. So we're going to do 180 minus 69 minus 60 to give you 51. And that would be your angle 5. So angle 1 was 111. Angle 2 was 69. Angle 3 was 60. Angle 4 was 60, and angle 5 was 51. And all of these are degrees. So if you have any questions, make sure you are emailing me or messaging me. And stay tuned for office hours where you can actually make an appointment and we can meet in a Zoom meeting to see if I can help you out some more.